What's good, YouTube? It's Adam from I'm Music Mole. Welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to go ahead and remix from scratch Housekeeping Notes by Drake featuring Latto.
Not yet, but hold on. We finna see they go act like they ride on something.
The tempo for this one's 154 beats per minute, and the track is produced by Gordo, Leon, and Clark. We're going to start off with the main sample that we hear through the entire track. But before we bring in the sample, we just want to make sure we have something set up right here in the transport bar. In your tempo section, go over and switch it from keep project tempo over to automatic mode. This way, when we drag in the sample, it's going to automatically detect the tempo. It'll make chopping up really easy. So the sample is Riding a Stick by DJ T-Time. So we need to make a total of 2 cuts in the sample. The first one being this first 8 bars right over here, including this blank space. So let's take 8 bars of that. And then we're going to jump forward over to bar 17. Make a chop over there, and we're gonna go all the way to bar 33. Except we want to isolate those vocals, so in Logic there is a built-in stem splitter. So let's go ahead and isolate the vocals right now. We're gonna click our region, Control click. We're gonna go over to processing and go to stem splitter. And all I really want is the vocals, so let's just uncheck all those, leave vocals checked, and click split. Logic will do its thing, and here is just the vocals isolated. Alright, sounds good. We got our 2 cuts. Now we got to make sure that it's going to stay in time when we pick up or speed up the tempo. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and turn on flex mode if it's not already on. We're going to turn it on this track and on this track as well. To make things easy, let's just bring this sample down. We'll bring everything onto one track. All right, just like that. Let's bring this back. We don't need this any longer. We could delete that. All right, everything's in place. Now let's go ahead and change the tempo. And the easiest way to do that is create a new tempo set. So we're gonna click this marker over here. We're gonna go to tempo, tempo sets, and create a new tempo set. And we're gonna type in Housekeeping Notes tempo of 154 beats per minute, and everything stays in time because we had our flex mode turned on. All we really got to do now is just increase the volume of the sample. So we're gonna go ahead and just pump it up quite a bit. Let's go 10 dBs.
Sit on the stick while you ride on it. Sit on the stick while you ride on it.
And then I'm just going to take a little bit of the low end out here.
Sit on the stick while you ride on it.
All right, and then we're going to go ahead and add in a little bit of reverb as well. Actually, I don't need this on this stem track over here. So let's go ahead and pull that out and leave it like that. Then we're going to go ahead and add in a little bit of reverb. So let's go over to reverb, chroma reverb, and just going to add in a touch of it. And that's pretty much it. Now let's go ahead and bring in that main organ synth sound. We're gonna create a new software instrument track. Let's move our loop over to the first 4 bars. Open up our library browser. We're gonna go over to Vintage B3 organ. We'll go to experimental and go to modern flute organ. Let's go ahead and draw in that chord progression. All right, so all together sounds like this. All right, so obviously that's a little too bright. Let's go ahead and adjust that sound. We'll open up Logic's Vintage B3 organ, and let's just draw some of these bars down a little bit here just to give it a different tone to it. Give it a little bit of low end sound there. A little bit brighter. All right, that sounds good. Next, we're going to turn off the percussion so there's not like a click happening at the top of each chord. Let's turn on some vibrato chorus on the lower. And let's turn up the rotation over to fast. Now that's obviously a little too fast, so let's adjust that. We'll go over to our rotor cabinet and bring down the max rate. And then we're gonna go over to our effects and we're gonna turn on wah wah, and for type we're gonna go opto wah 1. It just makes it a little bit more shimmery, a little bit brighter. Now that's even more in your face, but we'll fix that now with some filtering. We'll open up Logic's EQ, and we're gonna take our high cut here and just filter a lot of that top end out. And let's take some of the low end out here. And then we're going to add in some resonance over here at this cutoff point. So let's pull this up. All right, sounds good. Next, let's go ahead and bring in some chorus. We'll go to modulation chorus. And I'm going to take the first preset, the glimmering chorus, just to soften it up a bit. All right, next, let's go ahead and layer that up with a piano. We're going to create a new software instrument track, copy down the same pattern. We're going to go over to piano, and we'll go to the vintage upright piano. And I'm going to take the same type of chorus, same type of EQ, a filtered EQ with some low end resonance. Except I want some of those rich tones, so I'm going to bring this back. And we don't need so much here. All right, next let's go ahead and layer that up with some bass. Now this bass is not for the entire track, it's just sprinkled in through different sections within the track. So create a new software instrument track, and we're gonna go over to Logic's Instruments, and we're gonna go to Studio Bass. We're going to bring in the rock bass setting, and let's go ahead and draw in that bass progression. It basically follows the chord progression just at the root note. All right, now what I'm going to do is group all these tracks together and affect it as a whole. So we're going to select all three tracks, go Shift Command G, open up EQ, and I'm just going to boost some of the highs a bit. Oh, leave that. I'm going to cut some of the mids here, just to clean it up a bit, and boost some of the lows. All right, so that goes for 4 bars. So for the complete entire intro, and then we get into some drums. And I'm gonna bring in the Housekeeping Nose drum kit. So here it is right over here. I'm gonna take out this bass. We don't need it for this section here, of course, because we're gonna bring in an 808. And we're gonna start off with the snare, something simple on the 2s and 4s.
I like you riding the stick. I like you riding the stick.
Bring in the open hat.
I like you riding the stick. I like you riding the stick. I like you riding the stick. I like you riding the stick.
All right, we'll bring in this hi-hat. It's going to be a 2-step pattern at 8s.
I like you riding the stick. I like you riding the stick. I like you riding the stick. I like you riding the stick.
And then let's bring in that kick.
I like you riding the stick. I like you riding the stick. I like you riding the stick. I like you riding the stick.
And now that 808. So I'm going to bring in that 808 just to show you how I manipulate this sample. I'm going to go to sampler zone per note. We're going to have to loop the 808. So that's why I want to show you from scratch how I'm going to do that, because the 808 itself is very short, but we need to last long for certain parts in the pattern. It's a little confusing, but it's not. Let's put in that pattern.
I like you. I like you riding the stick.
F sharp.
I like you riding the stick.
up to the C sharp.
And like you riding the stick. 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 And like
Now comes to those high notes that we need to sort of loop the 808. I'll show you what I mean right now. So we're going to go ahead and go up to A right here. And then we're going to go up to the C sharp right here.
and like you riding the stick. 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 Sit down.
So instead of sounding like a little pluck type of sound, we need that 808 to loop itself so that it's a nice sustained note. So let's loop this right here.
Riding the stick. Tick, tick, tick.
We're going to open up our sampler. We're going to go over to our zone section, right click in there and go auto loop. If you're working with the one shot, it usually does a really good job at that. But when you're working with 808s, it does not, because you need one cycle of the oscillator to give yourself a nice loop. So to do that, what I'm going to do is go all the way to the end here. Actually, I kind of jumped the gun a bit. What I like to do is usually go to snap mode 0 crossing. This way it locks to a 0 crossing point. So we're going to take that right there. And we're going to take one oscillator, full oscillation of the oscillator. So it goes up past that point and then up again, and then it's going to loop itself. We don't need this fade. Now let's see how it sounds like. Nice sustained loop. So now all together.
And like you riding the stick. And like you riding the stick. And like you riding the stick. And like you riding the stick.
All right, sounds good. Let's move on to the next section. We're going to go ahead and copy over the hi-hats. Copy over this pattern here. Bring in a new open hat. And I think this one changes over to this right here. We'll bring in a nice crash, except we only need it on the one. So let's take off this and these two. And this 808 comes as well. Let's bring this back. All right, now let's move on to the next section. We're gonna go ahead and just copy over our hi-hat, the keyboard and piano as well. We get the perk sound in here, so I'm gonna put in a perk on the 2 and 4. And then we move on to the next section. It's pretty much this right over here. We're gonna copy over everything, except we're gonna bring in the bass. Let's highlight that. The kick comes out and we're going to bring in a clap on the 2 and 4. And for this 808, we just get the high notes because the bass is playing as well. So we just want to sort of offset that bass with these high notes. In the last section, we can just get hi-hats and bass. So for that, let's go ahead and just copy over our hi-hat. And for the bass pattern, it goes like this. It's really simple. We just take out these. It actually goes from the bass into the hi-hat. And those are all the different sections in Housekeeping Notes by Drake. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and arrange it, mix it, and when we come back, we'll take a listen to the full remake we just put together, Drake's Housekeeping Notes featuring Lado.
Chance for me. I ain't talking about you. Do it. Not yet. But hold on. We finna see they go act like they riding or something. Make your booty go. Act like you riding the stick. Act like you riding the stick. Act like you riding the stick. Act like you riding the stick.
that right there is the remake to Drake's Housekeeping Notes by Drake featuring Latto. For Logic Pro users out there, I'm going to go ahead and save this entire session for you, place it as a downloadable link below this video. If you don't use Logic, I got your back as well. I'm going to export all the MIDI stamps, audio stamps, and of course include the drum kit that you heard in this remake. You can find that playback down below the like button as well. If you do have any questions on this or just want to chat or have any suggestions for future videos, let's go chat down below. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Later. Peace.